Prepare yourself. What you are about to hear will be far from pleasant. It will not be a gentle whisper, but rather a sharp awakening. But believe me, it is exactly what you need right now. From childhood, we were taught to look for reasons outside ourselves, to point fingers at the guilty, to name our tormentors. And very often, that name turned out to be your mother. But here is the bitter truth that people are afraid to voice. It is not she who holds you captive, but what your own mind has made of her image. This is not an accusation, not an attack. This is a truth so uncomfortable that only a few dare to acknowledge it. The mother continues to live in your unconscious, even when she has long been physically absent. Her shadow, like an anchor, holds you in place. You strive for progress, you seek peace, but peace will not come until you acknowledge the war raging within you. A war against a ghost, against a figure woven not of flesh and blood, but of the dark shadows of the past. Against an archetype that settled within you long before you learned to speak. And the most terrifying thing is that this shadow will not disappear on its own. The mother complex. That's what Carl Jung called it. And it's not just another psychological term. It's an emotional prison with invisible walls, shackling your soul. It is a silent judge within you, an insatiable void, an eternal craving for approval that has haunted you since childhood. The irony is, this burden isn't yours. It's an inheritance, an echo of the past, a scar on your soul. How then to heal this wound? Here, the true battle with yourself begins. As long as you see your mother only as an almighty image, whether a deity or the source of all ills, you don't see her true self. You see only a myth, a projection, a distorted reflection created by years of unmet needs, unspoken grievances, and heavy silence. And do you know what's most terrifying? This myth controls your life far more powerfully than you're willing to admit. Every decision dictated by a craving for approval, every relationship ruined by the vain expectation of salvation, every failed attempt to set boundaries. All of this stems from roots much deeper than they appear at first glance. These roots grow from childhood, from a gaze full of alienation, from an embrace that never happened, from unspoken words. And now you are an adult, but inside, a child still lives, desperately needing a mother's everything will be all right. But here's what torments most. It won't happen again, ever. Healing is not an attempt to remake another person. It's freedom from the vain expectation of change. And it's like tearing out a piece of your soul. We were told that forgiveness is the key to salvation. That understanding motives is the way forward, that you need to put yourself in the oppressor's shoes. And yes, there's some truth to that. It can help, but only after you do the most important thing. Look within yourself and admit that this wound is no longer the burden of someone else's responsibility. It's yours, and yours alone. No one will come and heal you. No one. Now honestly ask yourself, how many times have you caught yourself acting just like her? How many times have you said words or done things you swore you would never repeat? Herein lies the trap. The complex is not just an emotional burden. It's a deeply ingrained behavior pattern within you. It lives inside, guiding your actions. And if you don't become aware of its presence in time, it will turn you into your own reflection, a pathetic copy. The pattern will repeat over and over until someone dares to break this vicious cycle. And this breaking is unbearable pain because it's the killing of illusions, the relinquishing of the ghostly hope that what never was will one day become real. It's the acceptance of a bitter truth. There will be no magical healing. Childhood won't return, and the comfort you never received, you'll have to grant yourself. Do you have the courage? Are you ready to let go of the futile hopes of being loved in the way you deem right and finally love yourself with the strength you deserve? Here it is, this door. There is no other way. The mother, as Jung understood her, is not just the woman who gave you life. She is much more, an archetype, a symbol, an embodiment of origin, a sense of security, emotional nourishment. But at the same time, she can become a symbol of suffocation, painful dependence, a crippling fear of revealing your true self. And when this archetype remains unintegrated, it becomes a shadow you inadvertently project onto everything around you, onto your loved ones, your bosses, your friends. You subconsciously wait for someone to come and save you, understand without words, surround you with unconditional care. But this is not love. This is a gaping void within, and no one else can fill this void. It is filled only with truth, deep awareness, and boundless courage. The first, most important step is to stop idolizing her. She wasn't perfect. She was neither an almighty goddess nor the demon she sometimes appears to be. She was an ordinary person, broken, wounded, fighting her own desperate battle. She did all she could with what she had, and sometimes she had very, very little. This in no way justifies the pain inflicted, but it sheds light on its origins. And when this understanding penetrates deep, something inside breaks, not as forced forgiveness, but as a liberating realization. For idealization is as poisonous as harbored resentment. Both keep you caged, away from true reality. The reality is you no longer need a mother. You need a stronger, more compassionate, more conscious you. And this version of yourself won't appear out of nowhere. It must be forged, built brick by brick. Want to know how? Start by closely observing your reactions. Every time you're pierced by a feeling of rejection, ask yourself, who do I see before me? A living person or just a reflection of an unhealed wound? Every time you crave unconditional love, ask yourself, what am I seeking, love or redemption? Every time you betray yourself so someone else won't leave, ask yourself, who betrayed me first? Healing is not a straight road. It's a painful, thorny path. It's a descent into personal hell, a tormenting conversation with your inner child. It's facing buried memories, reliving them, feeling every detail, and then letting go. And yes, sometimes this child cries softly, but sometimes it screams in a frenzy. It sabotages you, trips you up. In its eyes, rage storms, accumulated fury from long waiting to finally be heard. Now is the time to act. Listen to it. Don't try to silence its soul's outpouring with learned phrases from cheap self-help books. Don't cover its pain with false spirituality. Give it the space it needs to breathe. Ask what it needs, and above all, give it to yourself. Self-compassion is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful medicine. It's the only balm capable of breaking chains when all other means have failed. But practicing it requires incredible courage, for a part within you has spent years learning to despise itself, blame itself for everything, impose unrealistic demands, repeating the punishment once inflicted by others. Break this vicious cycle. Emotional re-education is not just reading smart books. It's looking at yourself with new, loving eyes. It's developing new, healthy reactions. It's stopping the fruitless search for motherly love where it never was and never will be. Because I'll tell you plainly and frankly, the world won't give you what you haven't given yourself. It's simply not designed for that. The world will demand from you, judge mercilessly, cynically, ignore. And precisely there, in the very heart of this chaos, you must rebuild yourself, brick by brick. Emotional freedom blossoms the moment you break the vicious cycle of old habits, when you choose a new path. You are no longer that frightened child trapped within the walls of the past. You are free from the need for approval, for fleeting affection. You don't need anyone's permission to simply be yourself. But deep down, a spark of hope still flickers, that part of you silently begging for salvation. Don't blame it. It's not at fault for what happened. But the responsibility for its healing rests on your shoulders. Do it. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Do it now. Otherwise, waiting for the perfect moment, you risk never starting. Healing doesn't come in silence and tranquility. It's born in the heart of the storm, in the chaos of fears and doubts. And when it arrives, you won't recognize it immediately. First, you'll feel loss, a gaping void, a deafening silence. For healing is also a farewell to the part of yourself you knew so well. A farewell to the victim role, to the endless waiting for a miracle. It's the beginning of action, decisive steps toward yourself. Is it painful? Yes, undoubtedly, but remaining stagnant, trapped in the past, is far more painful. Look at yourself in the mirror of your soul, unadorned. Honestly ask yourself, how much pain, how much torment still poisons my life with the ghostly influence of the one I call Mother, and how long do I intend to let her dictate my rules? Don't seek reconciliation with her, reconcile with yourself. For the most important mother in our lives is not the one who gave us life, but the one we choose to become for ourselves. And this mother is still waiting for her moment to be born within us. And since you are here, daring to look where others fear even to glance, allow me to dig deeper. There is something we haven't discussed yet. Something dark, hidden in the depths of the subconscious, yet possessing incredible power, invisible loyalty. No, you weren't mistaken. A loyalty you didn't choose, yet it guides you, as if an invisible thread is tied to your soul. No matter how much you work on yourself, how many wise books you read, how many therapy sessions you attend, if you don't realize this hidden power, you will repeatedly return to the same point. Want to know what this secret trap is? I'll reveal it to you. Your subconscious genuinely believes that if you surpass your mother, you will commit betrayal. Yes, this game is twisted to the extreme, and don't try to understand it with reason. There's no logic here. It's a feeling that penetrates you to the bone. It's seared into the very depths of your soul because from childhood you learned. Your essence is inextricably linked with hers. Her life, her suffering, her beliefs, you must carry them as a heavy burden. Unaware of this, you made an unspoken agreement, sealed it with a silent promise, an invisible vow. I won't be better than you, Mom. I won't be freer. I won't allow myself to heal if you haven't healed first. Do you see this prison? The irony is, it's chained with bonds woven from love. There's no room for hatred or malice here. It's about a subconscious loyalty that chains you to her pain, her disappointments, her limitations. That's why you repeatedly replay stories whose meaning you don't understand. That's why, when you're on the verge of triumph, you sabotage yourself, as if an inner voice whispers, "If I'm happy and she isn't, then I'm a traitor." But here's the bitter truth of life. Your pain won't honor her. Your inaction won't save her. Your unhappiness won't heal her wounds. So why do you continue to carry a burden that doesn't belong to you? This scene repeats in thousands of wounded souls, a child refusing the fullness of life just to avoid hurting the feelings of a mother who is no longer around or who was never truly present. As if somewhere deep in your soul, a cry bursts forth. "Mom, look, I feel this pain too. You're not alone in your sorrow." And it is this that tears you apart from within. True betrayal is not forgetting her story, but doomed to repeat it. If you truly love her, if you genuinely seek liberation without defiling her memory, then understand one important thing. To honor your mother means to surpass her. Not out of egoism, not out of a desire to reject, but as a natural stage of evolution. She gave you life, and you must multiply it, not squander it. Transform this inherited pain into something bright and new, into awareness, into transformation, into an authentic life filled with meaning. But for this, you must break the secret vow made before you even learned to speak. The vow that whispers, "I won't allow myself to be freer than you." Break this chain, but not with anger, but with love in your heart. Tell her in silence, even if she's no longer around or can't hear you, "Mom, thank you for everything you could give me, but now I choose my own path, and this path leads not to resentment, but to your freedom and mine." As long as you are a prisoner of this invisible loyalty, life will be like a broken record. You will repeatedly live through her fears, her bitterness of disappointments, her way of loving, her inability to say no, her craving for approval, her guilt, her self-sacrifice, her pain, and all of this without realizing what's happening. Have you ever considered how many of your decisions are dictated by this shadow from the past? Perhaps that's why you perceive rejection so painfully. Perhaps that's why guilt gnaws at you when things go well for you. Perhaps that's why you choose partners with whom you feel insignificant, not because you are weak, but because you are loyal. But this loyalty comes at too high a price, the cost of your own life. And if you gather the courage to face the truth, to question this blind devotion, a gaping void will open. An unfamiliar silence will reign. For the first time, you will separate your identity from hers. For the first time, you will say, "I am not you, and you are not me." And for the child you once were, it will sound like betrayal. But for the adult you can become, it will be a birth. This is where true life begins. It's not about severing the connection with your mother, but about re-evaluating her within yourself. It doesn't matter what she was like, loving, distant, absent, or overly caring. What matters is not what she was, but the place you've assigned her in your soul. This place, if not brought into order, becomes an altar or a prison. You either idolize her or become her slave. But both are merely distortions of the truth. The only path to healing is to dismantle this illusion. It can take various forms: the martyr mother, the ideal mother, the sacrificing mother, the all-powerful mother. But none of these figures are real. They are merely products of your imagination, a myth that prevents you from seeing the truth. She was also a daughter, carrying the burden of her own ghosts. She was also a victim of circumstances, loved as best she could, and made mistakes. You are not here to repeat her fate. You are here for something greater, to transform this emotional inheritance into wisdom, to bring the unconscious into the light, to complete this cycle so that your children, if you have or will have them, do not carry what you carry now. For what is inherited is not property or blood, but unresolved conflicts, unlived feelings, hidden wounds, the oppressive weight of unspoken words. And here's the most important thing: you cannot change the past, but you can change how it lives within you. Do this not for her, but for yourself. It's not necessary to sever ties with your mother, but it is necessary to dismantle the distorted image you carry within yourself. You need to silence the voice that condemns you in moments of triumph. Question the guilt that arises every time you choose yourself. This liberation is not against her, it is for you. The original wound does not predetermine your destiny. What you do with it defines it. So, one last question. How much longer will you worship a pattern that no longer serves you? How much longer will you drag along a story you didn't even start? It's time to transform this inherited pain into a source of strength. Stop surviving, start living. But for this, you'll need more than just desire. You'll need courage. The courage to release this blind loyalty, as if tearing a splinter from your heart. The courage to reforge yourself without the shadow of that figure who either gave you everything or mercilessly denied you everything. The courage to look in the mirror without averting your gaze and declare firmly, "From now on, I am my own support and protection." And once you do this, once you choose yourself, once you break free from the shackles of the past, only then will you truly honor your mother's memory. For the most sincere tribute to the one who gave you life is to live your own life authentically, in its fullest measure. And just when you decide you're free, that you've finally broken the chains of this inner loyalty, something new emerges, something more subtle, almost imperceptible, cunning like a snake lurking in the grass, emotional self-denial, and yes, it's directly connected to that maternal archetype that still casts a shadow over your soul. For what does a child do when deprived of necessary emotional nourishment? It adapts like a chameleon. It falls silent, as if its mouth has been sewn shut. It learns to ignore its own feelings, suppress them, pretend it's not hurting. And this survival instinct, honed to perfection, becomes your way of life, your second nature. Have you ever considered how you treat yourself? Have you listened to your inner voice? Noticed how often you demand the impossible from yourself? Things you would never wish upon a loved one. This is not a coincidence. It's an echo of the past, a trace of trauma hidden deep within. It's your inner world, poisoned by an unhealed archetype. You have become your own tormentor, replicating the self-denial you experienced. And here's the tragedy. No one is hurting you now. You, like a wound-up mechanism, continue to torment yourself, following an old destructive program. Every time you deny yourself well-deserved rest, you neglect yourself. Every time you belittle your pain, you betray yourself. Every time you sacrifice your needs for the convenience of others, you repeat a painful scenario. If I become invisible, if I stop being myself, maybe I'll be loved. Do you understand where this leads? You learn to survive by silencing your own feelings, by ceasing to exist emotionally. This is a slow, imperceptible suicide. You've become your own authoritarian figure, a tyrant who forbids you to cry, demands you be strong, forces you to work yourself to exhaustion, to give your all to others, forgetting your own needs. Do you know what's most paradoxical? The more often we betray our own dreams, the more desperately we await a miracle, salvation from outside. But no one will come. No one can fill the void we ourselves created. No one will give us what we stubbornly refuse to give ourselves. Here it is, the true revolution. Start caring for yourself with a tenderness no one ever has. Become your own loving mother. Reparent yourself from a blank slate. Learn to give yourself the love and support you were once denied. Allow yourself to feel everything without a trace of judgment. Speak gently to yourself when you stumble. Don't demand impossible perfection when you simply need comfort. Yes, at first it will seem strange. For years you've been accustomed to scathing criticism, to icy emotional detachment, but this is not your essence. This is merely an alien program, a system you inherited not because it's effective, but because it's the only thing you've ever known. Do you want to break free from this vicious cycle? Start by asking, how would I treat a child who went through what I did? What would I say if I saw them tormented, exhausted, on the verge of a breakdown? Would I push them, accuse them of weakness, or would I hug them tightly, asking for nothing in return? Now imagine, this child is you. Yes, exactly you, even if you're over 30, 40, 50. Even if life has hardened you, even if you're sure you have everything under control, this little person still lives inside you, full of hope and expectation. But a miracle won't happen, not in the way you imagine it. There's no need to search for an ideal knight in shining armor. The task is to become the one that child so desperately needs. And these aren't just pretty words. This is a deep understanding of the human psyche. Jung said, "What we don't make conscious becomes our destiny." And in this case, his words ring especially true. If you don't realize how you betray yourself, you will repeatedly make this mistake in relationships, at work, in every choice you make. You will live with a feeling of inner emptiness, with emotional hunger, with a desperate desire for someone to save you. But the paradox is that the need for salvation will disappear only when you yourself become a safe harbor for yourself. Of course, it's not easy. No one taught us this. We were taught to compete, to succeed, to prove our worth, but no one showed us how to treat our inner world with care, how to embrace our own shadows. And now we enter the territory of yet another, unfortunately familiar and painful area, the negative inner mother. This ingrained voice that has taken root within you. It's not yours. It's the one that whispers you're worthless, that you're always late, that you don't deserve happiness, that you're perpetually lacking something, that your feelings are wrong. Understand, this voice is not you, but you mistakenly took it for your conscience, for the ultimate truth. And that's a deception. It's merely an internalized figure, a distorted reflection of archetypal energy that has usurped the throne of your self-esteem. And until you dismantle this prison, you will be doomed to believe that your worst enemy is yourself. But that's a lie. You are simply repeating learned lessons, other people's words that have become your curse. So how do you free yourself from this oppression? Listen to this voice. Yes, listen closely, because what you desperately resist only strengthens, while what you observe with awareness transforms. Next time this poisonous whisper sounds in your head, don't flee from it in horror. Don't try to silence it. Don't drown it out with false affirmations. Face it. Ask it. Where did you come from? Whose are you? What lie are you whispering to me? A lie that isn't even mine. And then the veil will fall. You will see the intertwining threads. You will see the root cause. And in that moment, something deep inside you will stir, not as a vague revelation, but as a searing truth. You will realize that for many years you were a prisoner of other people's beliefs, which you blindly accepted as your own. But the moment you question them, your lost power will return to you. This is the true awakening of the soul, not memorized mantras or false guru preachings, but that very moment when you cease to be merely an echo of the past and become the creator of your own destiny. But be vigilant. Don't succumb to the temptation of cheap optimism. It's not about burying your head in the sand, running from pain. It's about bravely looking in the mirror, seeing yourself without adornment, and taking responsibility for your life. Stop seeking salvation in others, hoping someone will fill your inner void. Start doing it yourself, step by step, with small, conscious actions. Need a compass? Here it is. First and foremost, don't abandon yourself in difficult moments. Feeling tired? Don't push yourself. Give yourself a break. Overwhelmed by sadness? Don't blame yourself for it. Support yourself. Gripped by fear? Don't be ashamed of it. Listen to yourself. This is a new language, new inner care, new emotional support capable of breaking centuries-old shackles of inherited stereotypes. I know it seems like an insurmountable mountain, but remember, perfection is not required. You just need to change your approach. Otherwise, this vicious cycle won't be broken. No one will do it for you. The changes you crave won't come from outside. They are born in every one of your inner movements. Every time you, overcoming reluctance, choose self-care, when you set boundaries, even if your voice trembles betrayingly, when you say no to say yes to yourself, that is true love. And strangely enough, that is a revolution. In a world that teaches us to be demanding, self-flagellating, and comparative, treating yourself gently is an act of rebellion. It's a challenge to family history, a declaration, this pattern ends with me. Not because I am better or stronger, but because I have chosen awakening. And once awakened, you will not fall back asleep. Neither judgment, nor guilt, nor the old voice that once paralyzed you will be able to hold you back. You no longer seek approval. Your path lies within, a new path paved with awareness, boundaries, and true love. Not the love that demands sacrifice, not the one that consumes and suffocates, but a love that will become a support, fill you with respect and care, the love you always needed and can now give yourself. And though it may not seem obvious, this is the true legacy worth leaving behind. When you reach this point, something within you will subtly change. You won't need external validation. You'll feel it in every cell. It's the faintest vibration arising from finally looking into the eyes of what you've avoided your whole life. a strange cocktail of emptiness and strength, of the bitterness of loss, and the premonition of rebirth. Yes, at the end of this journey, triumphant fanfares and sudden enlightenment do not await you. Silence awaits you, a new ringing silence, pure and deep, because you finally dared to break the deafening noise of what was inherited. Now you understand why you so often wondered about yourself, and why it was so difficult to find harmony within yourself. You lived as if in a house inhabited by foreign voices. You carried the burden of others' needs, reacted to pain that came from generations deep. But now this has come to an end, and you feel an unbearable burden lift from your shoulders. Everything that remains is now yours. Your personal space, your unique identity, your own voice. And here's the crux. It's not about avoiding wounds, it's about facing them for the first time, acknowledging them. And that changes absolutely everything. Wounds are not a catastrophe. The catastrophe is to run from them, to hide, to pretend they don't exist, as if silencing them will make them disappear. But they don't disappear. They transform when you look them directly in the eye, when you speak about them aloud, when you move through the pain. And now, at this crucial crossroads, something new is born. Your true emotional maturity, not one built on total control or outward composure, but one that acknowledges the coexistence of broken and wise parts within you, those that still cry and those that have already learned to survive. Do you understand what this means? You have crossed the threshold, that point of no return where you cease to be the eternal child of the past and become the symbolic parent of your present. You no longer live in the shadow of what you weren't given. You live creating what you choose for yourself. This is a power accessible to few, for it requires courage, ruthless honesty, and an almost primal determination to cast aside excuses, explanations, inherited fears, and begin to live from your own true self, from the depths of your soul, not as echoes of the past. Now that you know this, what will you do? Here, theory ends and the most important part begins. The invisible work that no one will see, but you will feel in your bones. Every day, in every decision, in every new way you look at yourself. Every time you don't repeat the old scenario. Every time you choose consciously, not out of desperation. And let no one applaud. This is freedom you cannot buy. Allow me to leave you with a final thought, which perhaps, in a new form, summarizes everything you've heard, a phrase worth remembering, worthy of being tattooed on your soul. When self-love is born from healed pain, it ceases to be just a trend and transforms into a quiet revolution. And if what you've seen has stirred you, made you think, awakened dormant corners of your soul, know that you are no longer who you were before. You have looked where others fear even to glance. Your journey is only just beginning. Take a step towards fear. Tell yourself what you never dared to. Pause in silence. Let the tears flow if they want to. Just look at yourself without a trace of judgment for at least 10 seconds. 10 seconds. That's enough to begin. For when your attitude towards yourself changes, the world around you changes too. Don't believe it? Try it. But do it not out of need, but from the depths of your soul, from that place where you no longer need a savior, because now you know you are the savior. Let the world tremble when you start living without repeating what broke you. Perhaps you'll be too busy rebuilding yourself. In any case, I'm glad you made it here, made it to yourself, made it to this moment.